right, well, thank you everyone for coming out here. And thank you, Morgan. You have quickly become one of my favorite people. So very much thanks. All right, so just click next. A little bit about me. So I, like a lot of people, spent a bit of time in the corporate world, and I realized pretty soon, and it took me 10 years to kind of finally jump out of it, that I kind of did not like the politics. I'm sure any of you who has worked in corporate has also discovered this, that after some time, you get to a point in your career where you spend about 70 to 80% of your time working on the politics, convincing senior leaders why you should do something, or why you should get funded, et cetera, et cetera. And it becomes really exhausting. So I wanted to really make a much bigger impact. So I had an opportunity last year to basically take a leap of faith, aka tech layoffs. But it really gave me a good chance to take that leap of faith and say, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do my own thing. So really what I'm focusing on right now is getting small, medium-sized businesses, particularly in the tech space, to better understand their messaging, their positioning, and their strategy for product and both marketing. I think where I ultimately would love to sit is being able to help from a diversity standpoint there. I think when we talk about DEI, it is mostly internal. It is mostly when we're thinking about from an HR perspective. So I think where there could be a really strong point that comes and sandwiches DEI from the other end is really thinking about how do we better serve our customers. And that is something I'd love to eventually work on. Am I supposed to point this at you or here?
No,
okay.
You're clean.
Okay, cool. So what is the problem that the market currently is experiencing that I am here to fix? So especially, like I said, in the tech space, what we end up seeing happening is product or engineering. It's usually engineering or product led. Thinks of a lovely idea. Awesome. Everything is great. We're going to make it. It's going to be awesome. Everyone's going to love it. They're going to love it. And then they go to the marketers and they say, go sell it. Go find people. And the marketers go, who? Do we talk to people? Who do we build this product for? Are we solving what their needs are? So it's really uncertain who a lot of these people are actually going out for. And what ends up happening, you'll see a lot, is the product teams and engineering teams have to go back and they have to iterate. That's where the testing and learning happens, right? So they go back and they go, just kidding, we're gonna need to add a feature. Just kidding, we're gonna need to do a version 2, 3, 4. And in the meantime, the people who started on your platform first are getting lost. They're getting dropped. And I know that you know, and I know this too, once something gets dropped, if you tried a product, if you tried an experience and you didn't have a good experience, how often are you gonna actually come back? Realistically, probably never, right? So in the meantime, customers are being lost. And therein lies the problem. Does this sound familiar to anyone? Okay. So it wasn't just my experience then. I'm not crazy. All right, so what is holistic product and marketing strategy, AKA the stuff that I do? Essentially, we're bringing in the marketing mindset earlier on. So you work with product from the very beginning. You come in and you really hone in on what are those consumer needs, and you really get those deep insights. It's not just, I'm going to talk to a handful of people. It is, I'm going to find what are the right kinds of solutions to get the kind of data that I need. And sometimes behavior isn't even data. Sometimes it's, I need to go out there and do an ethnography, find what I need so that we can figure out what our consumers actually want. And then that leads to product and brand growth faster than what you would have if you just go out and test and learn as you go. How is a holistic strategy powerful? So as someone who has come from the consumer packaged goods industry, which is so marketing led compared to a lot of these tech industries, I can tell you a lot about how it's powerful. We all know what this is, right? Heinz. Everyone knows exactly what that is. How often do you pick that up versus the generic brand? Pretty frequently, right? Yeah. Yeah, even when the generic brand is like half the price, you kind of go in and you pick up the Heinz. Hey, why is that? Yeah, that's why this is super powerful, is if you come in and you really understand, and consumer packaged goods industry, I can tell you after working in that industry, when you really get to understand who your consumers are, speak to them, get to know kind of their little ticks and quirks, what ends up happening is people come straight to you. They don't even question it anymore, even if you're twice as expensive. They go, wow, I know what you are, what you stand for, and I love your brand and I'm going to go straight to you. I'm not even going to think about it. We all know this, Facebook. What did Facebook replace? Or not replace, but really dominate over? Do you guys remember this? Yeah. You know what happened? MySpace did not continually check in with their consumers. Their interface was just not working up until a certain point. They started to get glitchy. And then Facebook came in and said, we're going to make this better. And now, well, now there's more than Facebook these days, but back in the day, that's what happened. They didn't go check in and they didn't go, what are my customers' needs? And are we meeting them? So a little bit of just kind of like a service map of the sorts of things that I do. I usually come in and do an assessment of kind of your current plan, just for gaps and recommendations on how to move forward. If you do decide to move forward, I end up helping a lot with customer targeting, helping with understanding what your market landscape looks like, helping you develop a strategy there, updating your value props for better impact. And those value props are going to be essentially the pillars of what helps you in the rest of your marketing plan. A new marketing strategy, if that's what's needed for either a new brand revamp or stick to what you have right now, but let's make it beefier, let's make it better, let's figure out where to find these customers and how. And then this got cut off a little bit, but the creation of a new product strategy positioned for growth. So really, I can tell you on a lot of the products that I've worked across both packaged goods and tech, there is a lot more growth to be had when you think about both product and marketing hand in hand. I think the circling works. All right, what am I doing currently? So yeah, currently I'm outreaching into working with small to medium-sized businesses who kind of want to take their marketing strategy and their product strategy and elevate it to the next level. So I guess that's partly, why I'm here. And that's what I'm looking to do. And ultimately, hopefully get to that side of the strategy on the diversity end, which is where my ultimate goal hopefully lies. So I want to get to know you, right? Like I want to not just speak the talk, I guess. I want to also walk the walk. So I would love if you guys could whip out your phones. I know normally this is not allowed in a presentation, but this is your permission to go and do that. Whip out your phones, scan that QR code. You can test if my technology skills have worked, if that QR code works. This is the first time I'm using this, by the way. So if anyone's running into any issues, please holler, but hopefully this got tested beforehand. And there's just a couple of questions that I want you guys to go through and answer. And then when we're done, I guess, I don't know what's a good way to see when everyone's done. I'll just look at eyes. When the eyes all look up. The questionnaire. Okay, thank you. Didn't make it too fancy. Actually, now that I think about it, it might have been smart for me to pull up the live responses. Make it a little more interactive, but noted for next time. Am I okay on time or? Huh? I would assume a couple of minutes. Yeah. Should be fairly fast. So the purpose of kind of some of these questions, I mean, you can go as in depth with the open-ended questions as you want. But my hope is just kind of like what's top of mind. You know, if you have to think really hard about it, like don't worry about thinking that hard. It's just what is top of mind for you. I know we might be short on time. If you're still working on it, keep working on it. I would love to collect all the responses, and then I'm happy to share them with you guys at the end. My goal is really just to try to better understand and serve other small to medium-sized businesses, and knowing that a lot of you guys here are small to medium-sized businesses, I want to understand, like what's out there. What are you guys thinking? Yes, Uba.
Question. So when small business owner comes to you and says, that's fine, Luna, I love the way you're thinking. You really opened up my brain here, right? My mind, but I need more leads. So what's your answer?
Who are you looking for? I think I have more questions than answers when, in situations like that, right? Because at the core of it, there's no one straight answer for anything. And I wish it was that easy. I really wish it was that easy, but there's no one straight answer for everyone. It depends. Who are you looking for? Where do they hang out? What do they need? And then you develop a strategy from there. Maybe that's cold calling. I actually don't think cold calling is necessarily the easiest way to do it for most businesses, but maybe it's cold calling, Maybe it's through mutual connections somewhere. Maybe it's through events where this is the industry standard event, the conference that happens once or twice a year. Maybe you just got to go to that, So it really does depend on what the situation is. Yes, Morgan.
What are your challenges when working with small, medium business owners who think that they know who their customers are, but like are maybe looking for places?
Yeah, totally. I think I get that a lot, right? Because everyone wants to think that they know who their customers are. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I do think, people have obviously had to do some level of upfront work to understand who their customers are. But I think it's just scratching the surface. So I think there's a lot more work to be done on, like going deeper into understanding, okay, well, what is the psyche? What are their daily habits? What really makes them tick? What are the things that they're doing that they're not even thinking that they're doing? Because oftentimes what ends up happening is you'll see people answer in surveys, oh, I love this product. And like something like 85% of people will be like, yeah, I'll totally buy this product. And then 14% actually buy it, And so your numbers are going to look way off if you don't take into account what actual human behavior is. Yes.
Any art that you kind of laid out from historical like tech companies where product and engineering are coming up with product and marketing that come and it sounded like that what marketing would be more engaged with development up front. I'm curious, right, as you look to go seek out small and medium-sized businesses that already exist, where the product is presumably developed to some level of maturity. Would you expect an outcome of your client engagements to involve a change in the product that's being delivered, or just in the approach of how it's working?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. And that's why I say it's like holistic product and marketing. So there would potentially be expected changes of the product in and of itself. Right. So say, here's a good example. When I used to work at Rover, what ended up happening was they thought they had this great value proposition. They thought the marketing was, we needed to figure out how to make the marketing stronger. But then what ended up happening was I came in and I did this whole overview of, okay, who are our actual customers? I literally started with the demographics, and then I went deeper and deeper and deeper. And what we found was that they wanted convenience. People thought it was like, we don't want a messy house. This was for the grooming product, by the way, dog grooming. They thought the value prop was, no one wants a mess, so we'll clean up the mess afterwards. But really what they wanted was convenience. I just want to make it easy. Like, how do you come in the door, out the door? Like, you don't even have to bother me if I'm working or doing something else. Like, get my dog groomed, I come back to clean dog, you know? And that meant the product had to change, right? That meant we had to start thinking about, okay, not only do we need to talk the talk in marketing, because that's step one, right? People look at marketing and they go, I'm going to sign up for this. But step two is the product has to deliver. So I can talk all I want about convenience and this is going to be so convenient for you. But if I go and use a product and it's not convenient, what's going to happen? I'm going to drop because it doesn't meet my needs. So yeah, so there are going to be product changes. And in that case, it was very much, we had to go back to the drawing board and go, okay, how do we make this product more convenient? Does that mean we have to look at a lockbox? Is that something we can budget, you know? Like, so there's a lot of these ideas that came out of it, but it ultimately does mean, yeah, we're going to have to be open to product changes because you're not going to get anywhere by just talking about it in your marketing. You have to actually deliver. Yes. The pricing structure, it's going to really vary depending on, you know, what actually is needed. So I kind of have two ways. One is there's a project, right, you know, where we actually sit down and mutually discuss what are the needs of the product or what are the needs of the project, what are the goals, how long is this going to take, and that's kind of where you come up with a project rate. And then I do have an hourly rate for if, you know, you want a consultation, and then we talk about kind of what the needs are. And then if we need to execute things on an ad hoc basis, that would be on an hourly or I guess in this case, daily rate.
There, one last question.
Jessica.
So, you mentioned that once people leave, they never come back. Is part of what you work with your clients after you kind of figured out about you and look back on people that left the product and try to.
So I would say those are the people are going to be your top source of insight for what you did wrong. I don't know if necessarily you're ever going to be able to bring them back, right? Because it is, you're going to pour in like 5-6 times more resources to try to bring people back than to bring on new people. So I don't, you know, in my humble opinion, you know, obviously if a company says we really want to bring those people back and we're willing to spend the 6 times the resources to bring them back, fine, you know, right? Like that's your prerogative. But in my opinion, I don't think that's the best spend of resources. I think you should be spending your resources trying to get new clients and trying to meet those needs better than you did the last ones. But the people that have dropped are usually going to be your number one source of insights for understanding, okay, what did we do wrong? You know, and what can we do better?
Thank you, Luna.
Well, thank you.